I snapped my eyes open. I saw the familiar ceiling. Villa number 6, South Lake Garden Villa District. My bedroom. I immediately grabbed the phone on the nightstand. April 15th, year 3333, 6:58 a.m. Exactly 1 month before the end of the world, I had been reborn. In my past life, the torrential rain lasted for 5 months. Floods submerged everything. Water and electricity were cut off. I fought with all my might to protect my 4 cats, but they were still knocked unconscious by others. Then they were skinned alive right in front of me, leaving behind nothing but a pile of shattered bones, and I was left to freeze to death in the snow. I gripped my phone tightly. My knuckles turned white. In this life, I will never let anyone take what is mine again. I threw off the covers and got out of bed. I stood up too fast. My vision went dark for a moment. My hand slipped on the metal handle of the wardrobe. A gash was sliced open on the back of my hand. Blood gushed out and flowed onto the jade bracelet on my wrist. The jade bracelet suddenly erupted with a blinding red light. When I opened my eyes again, I was no longer in my bedroom. Another world appeared before my eyes. This was a relic left behind by my mother. It actually contained a hidden dimension. There was a white jade pool inside the bamboo building. The spring was bubbling up. It had been far too long since I had a satisfying drink of water. I scooped up the spring water and drank it in large gulps. Suddenly, my body grew hotter and hotter. Pain seemed to crawl out from the gaps in my bones. I couldn't hold on and collapsed to the ground, passing out. When I woke up again, a pungent, sour stench nearly made me vomit. My entire body was covered in black, greasy sludge. My stomach churned instantly. I immediately exited the dimension. I rushed into the bathroom. It took me over an hour of scrubbing to get myself clean. Standing in front of the mirror, I was stunned. My body felt like it had inexhaustible strength. I realized in an instant, this is a spiritual spring that can cleanse and revitalize the body. With this, I'll be immune to all diseases in the apocalypse. I immediately took a drop of spring water from the dimension, diluted it with 100 times more water, and distributed it into their canned food. After the 4 cats finished eating, they rushed to the litter box. A few minutes later, the whole room smelled sour and putrid. Seeing that they were fine, I grabbed my car keys and headed out. In my previous life, I had nothing. Yet I managed to survive for nearly a year in the apocalypse. In this life, I have a whole month to prepare. I didn't choose to drive a sports car. Instead, I chose a custom Type C motorhome. I drove it directly to the modification plant. I had all the glass replaced with the highest grade bulletproof glass. The insulation was maximized. The batteries were replaced with the largest and best available. The roof was covered with solar panels. The body was reinforced and thickened. The tires were swapped for polar terrain ones. I installed a diesel heating system, full vehicle surveillance with no blind spots, glass, tires, and 20 sets of spare battery parts for each item. It can be ready in half a month, no problem. After I paid the deposit, I headed straight to the largest wholesale pet store in the suburbs. The boss looked at the list I made. His mouth dropped into an O shape. 2,500 bags of cat food, 5,000 cases each of canned food, cat strips, and freeze-dried treats, 200 tons of cat litter. He looked at me skeptically. Why are you buying so much? I want to sponsor a stray animal rescue station. He immediately beamed with joy. All right. I paid the deposit. I told him to deliver the goods to the warehouse I rented the day after tomorrow. When I walked out of the pet store, a red mole the size of a red bean appeared on my left wrist. And my jade bracelet was gone. Just as I was wondering, the red mole suddenly appeared on my arm. I frowned and instinctively touched the red mole. Suddenly, a powerful force instantly pulled me into the dimension. My pupils shrank. Only then did I realize the dimension had merged into my body. This is better anyway. Now I don't have to worry about the jade bracelet being stolen. After exiting the dimension, I went to the grain and oil shop next. 10,000 pounds each of rice and white flour, 5,000 pounds of various coarse grains, 2,000 boxes of salt, 5 tons of seasoning, and instant noodles, river snail rice noodles, self-heating hot pots, compressed biscuits, and thousands of boxes each of chocolate and Snickers bars. In the afternoon, I bought seeds and fruit tree seedlings. The next day, I started buying warm clothing, down jackets, wool sweaters, snow boots, and cotton quilts. I bought heating equipment in large quantities. On the 3rd day, I listed the villa directly. I sold it through an agent for $50 million. Once the full payment arrived in my account, I started looking for a new place. My requirements were simple. A high-altitude residential area, 25th floor or above, preferably the top floor. The agent quickly found 3 options. I chose the one on the 32nd floor, a 70-square-meter shell apartment. After securing the apartment, I immediately made a phone call to the city's top security company, which specifically serves the wealthy. I want this house to be as secure as a bank vault. The surrounding walls, top, and floor are all to be welded with metal layers, triple-pane bulletproof glass. A bank vault door. They can finish in 20 days. The renovation company guys stared with wide eyes. We can do it. Then came the firearms. I didn't hesitate. I flew directly to the US. I found my former mercenary instructor, James. I used the USD I had exchanged in advance to buy a massive amount of supplies, coal and firewood, guns and ammunition, gasoline and diesel, solar generators, grenades, landmines, and explosives. I spent 100 million. Then I traveled to South Korea. I bought a huge amount of meat from 2 countries, including seafood and pre-made dishes. Finally, I went to another country to buy the best cold weather gear and coal. I returned home 12 days later. I spent another 10 days traveling across the country for local specialties, street food, and restaurant-quality pre-made meals. I still had 5 million left, so I bought a boat. By the time I returned to X City, both the RV and the safe house were completed. I inspected the RV, paid the balance, and stored the vehicle and all spare parts into the dimension. I rushed to the 32nd floor of Building 11 in Minqing. The renovation company people were already waiting for me. "Hey, miss. I'll teach you the electronic lock password and fingerprint setup. Please inspect the work." The room shimmered with a cold metal luster. It was icy, but strong enough. I took a large sledgehammer and hammered everything once. Satisfied, I paid the balance. After he left, I used a detector to scan every corner. No cameras. No bugs. I had them install all-around surveillance outside the door, so even the stairwell could be seen clearly. I began to furnish the safe house. I knocked through the wall between the second bedroom and the living room, installed a fireplace and a large wood-burning stove. I laid down carpets, set up my bed, a wardrobe, and a chaise lounge. The cat litter boxes and stone bowls and water basins were all placed. I turned the master bedroom into a gym. The bathroom is usable for now, but I'll seal it off once the water is cut. I brought the 4 cats out from the dimension. They adapted quickly. They walked around the room once and started grooming themselves. I cooked the first meal for my new home. Stir-fried bullfrog, mutton with scallions, yusiang shredded pork, dry pot cauliflower, and sweet osmanthus rice wine soup with rice balls. 4 dishes, 1 soup, and a large bowl of rice. I finished it all. Full and satisfied, I lay on the bed. All 4 cats were by my side. Outside the window was the May sunshine, warm and bright. Only 1 day left until the apocalypse. I didn't wake up until the following afternoon. The sun was still shining brightly outside. The news was broadcasting a rainstorm warning. The comments were full of mockery, saying the forecast was lying again. I ignored it. Even if I told them, it would be useless. No one would believe the end of the world is coming. I went to the bank, exchanged most of the remaining money in my card for gold, and then went to the supermarket. I bought a cart full of snacks. It was already dark when I returned. The elevator was crowded. When we reached the 32nd floor, only I and 3 other people were left. A middle-aged woman in her 40s was pushing a 4-wheeled cart, filled with rice, flour, grain, and oil. A well-dressed young couple was talking in low voices. They entered the unit at the far east end. The woman entered the unit at the far west end. I live in the middle. The woman with the cart glanced at me. She was very enthusiastic. "You just moved in, right? You didn't even keep an eye on your home's renovation. You're really carefree. The weather can change in an instant. The forecast says there will be a huge rainstorm." I quickly stocked up on some food today. "Did you go to the supermarket too?" I hesitated for a moment, and only replied with 2 words, "No." She curled her lip and stopped talking. Back home, the 4 cats were squatting at the door to welcome me. I gave each one a rub. Then they clamored to enter the dimension. I took them inside, watching them chase chicks and ducklings all over the place. I installed solar panels on the roof of the bamboo building. 2 hours later, the lights came on. The sun in the dimension can also generate electricity. This means I can use electricity without worry after the apocalypse. I didn't sleep at all that night. 10 large rice cookers were simultaneously steaming rice and stewing meat, pot after pot of braised pork, soy-glazed ribs, and clear-stewed lamb chops, tomato beef brisket, and soybean stewed pig's feet. The basement was filled with large stainless steel buckets. A full sense of security. At dawn, I opened the window for some fresh air. A cold wind rushed in. I shivered. Even for May. The temperature had dropped by more than 10 degrees. I put on a thick coat, thermal leggings, windproof pants, and waterproof ankle boots. I pushed the door and went out. The neighbor woman also happened to be coming out. She was wearing a light purple down jacket, wrapped in a scarf, looking even more bundled up than me. She saw me and wanted to start a conversation again. I didn't give her the chance. I strode into the elevator. Exiting the building door, the cold wind hit me in the face. I wrapped my clothes tighter. The sky was gloomy, as if covered by a heavy lid. I turned on the TV. The news was broadcasting an emergency warning. Super heavy rain will strike today. Citizens, please prepare accordingly. My phone's group chat was blowing up. How has the water already reached the steps? Where is the property management? How is the drainage handled? The building lead is Lu Chunhua. That same middle-aged woman living on the west side. She replied almost instantly. The whole city is flooded. Property management can't do anything either. If those on the lower floors get flooded, talk to those on the higher floors about staying over. We are all in the same building. We should help each other, right? My lips curled into a cold arc. Help each other? Easy to invite a guest, hard to get rid of one. The group chat went silent in an instant. Not a single person picked up the conversation. I exited the group chat and checked the trending topics on Weibo. It was all about the rain. Cities by the sea or rivers have already started flooding. But no one took it seriously. Everyone thought the rain would stop soon. Only I knew. This rain wouldn't stop anytime soon. The rice cooker beeped. I put down my phone and went to the kitchen. I put the porridge and rice into large stainless steel buckets, cleaned the pot, and started stewing meat. After finishing everything, I brought the 4 cats out from the dimension. They had been running wild in the dimension all day. As soon as they came out, they surrounded me and rubbed against me. I was petting the cats and had just lain down when the doorbell rang. Who is it this late? I didn't get up. I directly opened my phone to check the surveillance. Lu Chunhua was standing at my door. Behind her followed a pair. A young couple holding a child. Beside the man behind them were 2 28-inch suitcases. On his back was a half-person high hiking bag. And he was carrying 2 travel bags in his hands. With such a setup, their intention couldn't be more obvious. I didn't go to open the door. Lu Chunhua kept pressing the doorbell. She was planning to force herself on me. I put on my shoes and walked to the door, opening the small window at the top of the door. There was a thick alloy mesh on the outside, with fine holes. So small that even a baby's finger couldn't fit through. Is there a problem? Lu Chunhua started rambling. Oh my. Why did you just come out? Why didn't you open the door? How can we talk like this? I was already asleep. I was woken up by the noise. Speak your mind. The first floor is flooded. I'm arranging accommodation for them. Your place is a 2-bedroom and you're all alone. What do you think about letting this family of 3 stay with you? Not much. What did you say? Lu Chunhua's face turned sour. I'm not willing. Go find someone else. Her smile could no longer be maintained. Everyone is a neighbor. We should help each other when there are difficulties. You can't use such a large house all by yourself. Why won't you help? I'm used to living alone. The woman holding the child stepped forward pleadingly. My baby is very good. He won't disturb you. It's so cold. The child can't take it. Please. The man also followed up. We can pay. According to hotel prices. Lu Chunhua immediately chimed in. They're giving you money, so you're not losing out. The child is so small. Do you have the heart to let him have nowhere to stay? I raised an eyebrow. It's not my child. Why wouldn't I have the heart? Why are you so stubborn? It's just a small favor. What's wrong with that? Won't there ever be a time when you need help from others? I'm certain there won't be. Lu Chunhua was so angry she could only stare, but she couldn't do anything to me. Just then, the door to 3204 opened. Wang Meiwan walked out. She was the same neighbor woman I met at the elevator before. Sister Lu, why are you standing here so late? Lu Chunhua sighed. The first floor is no longer habitable. I was thinking of letting Xiaonan give the empty room to Xiao Zheng's family from the first floor. They are willing to pay hotel prices. But Xiaonan disagreed. I'm so worried. Wang Meijuan's eyes darted around. And her eyes instantly lit up. If that's the case, stay at my place. Really? How could it be fake? I have an empty room at home. It's perfect for them. Lu Chunhua looked at the young couple. The two looked at each other. The woman smiled and said, to have a place to stay. Of course, we'd be more than happy. How about 300 yuan a day? Wang Meiwan couldn't keep the corners of her mouth from rising. But she still said politely, we are all neighbors. A little more or less doesn't matter. Distant relatives are not as good as near neighbors, after all. Meiwan, you're the one who sees things clearly. Unlike some young people who don't understand the ways of the world. Doing things so heartlessly. Let's see who will help her when she encounters problems in the future. I expressionlessly closed the small window and locked it. I turned back into the room. Lu Chunhua was asserting her authority as the building lead. Wang Meiwan was eyeing that 300 yuan room fee. The young couple, bringing so much luggage, are clever people. And even more skilled at guilt-tripping. It's just that Wang Meiwan is happy now. But once she invites them in, getting them out will be difficult. I lay back on the bed. The 4 cats jumped up and snuggled beside me. Listening to their purring, I closed my eyes and fell into a deep sleep. I woke up from a sleep, and it was still raining heavily outside. The thermometer on the wall showed 10 degrees Celsius. In just one day, it had dropped by several degrees. I put on plush pajamas. I was in no hurry to wash up. I first walked to the window and opened the blinds. I picked up the binoculars to look outside. The rain was even heavier than last night. Inside and outside the residential area was a vast ocean. The houses had all become isolated islands. The shops facing the street had already been submerged. The water was rushing towards the second floor. Mingqing Jiayuan's terrain was slightly high, but the first floor was also mostly flooded. The people on the second floor are probably anxious to move now. Judging by the situation, the rain won't stop anytime soon. While eating breakfast, I scrolled through the owner's group chat. As expected, everyone was discussing this. Lu Chunhua was making another long speech. The final outcome of the discussion was, there are several empty apartments in this building. Lu Chunhua had all the keys. Open them first to let the people from the lower floors move in. There were 9 usable empty apartments in total. As a result, people on the 3rd and 4th floors also clamored to move. Clever people could already tell that this rain wasn't going to stop. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors combined were 11 households. 9 apartments were simply not enough to go around. In the end, Lu Chunhua made the decision. Families of 3 or fewer would share one apartment. Families of more than 3 would be split into 2. The living room, kitchen, and toilet would be shared. Everyone still felt the difficulty was temporary, so they all agreed. I watched the excitement for a while without even the slightest interest in opening the door to take a look. These people can still discuss things calmly now, because they still have hope. In a few more days, when hope is shattered, this kind of harmonious scene will no longer be seen. By the afternoon, the water had already submerged the entire second floor, heading straight for the third floor. In the group, people on the third and fourth floors were all relieved they moved quickly. I was about to take some food out from the dimension to eat, when the doorbell rang. I frowned. I opened the phone surveillance while walking to the door. I thought it was Lu Chunhua or Wang Meiwan again. I didn't expect the ones standing outside were the young couple from 3201. We had met once in the elevator. We weren't even on nodding terms. I opened the small window on the door. Is there something? The man spoke politely. Hello. We're from 3201. My name is Su Ping. This is my wife, Lu Nana. What is it? Su Ping smiled. Normally, we don't really cook at home. There's not much food left in the house. The flood outside is too deep to go out. I saw you buy a lot of things a few days ago. Can you sell some to us? Lu Nana also stepped forward with a bright smile. Miss, you can't finish all that by yourself. Sell some to us. We're all neighbors. Let's help each other. At worst, we'll pay you more. What do you think? I snorted coldly, starting the guilt tripping again. As long as I have no morals, no one can kidnap me with them. I'm a big eater. I spoke flatly. That stuff isn't even enough for me. Not selling. Lu Nana looked skeptical. You're so thin. How can you be a big eater? The thinner the big eater, the more they eat. I have things to do. Go find someone else to buy from. After saying that, I directly closed the small window and walked towards the living room and sat down at the table. I turned on the surveillance camera. Everything in the hallway was clearly visible. Through the monitor, I saw everything happening in the corridor. Lu Nana looked displeased, her voice sounding bitter. What big eater? I think she just doesn't want to sell to us. She's just making excuses. Su Ping's face darkened, and he lowered his voice. What's the use of saying that? There's no food left at home. Do you plan on starving to death? Why are you shouting at me? It's your fault for not knowing to buy food and keep it at home. I wanted to buy rice, flour, and oil. But can you even cook? And you said instant noodles were unhealthy. Now you're blaming me? Seeing Lu Nana about to lose her temper, Su Ping's attitude softened. I didn't mean it that way. Nana, I don't want to fight. Nobody predicted this situation. I just don't want to see you go hungry. Lu Nana kept a stern face. Then what do we do? She refuses to sell. Su Ping looked toward apartment 3204. If she won't, someone else will. Are you talking about Wang Meiwan? Yes. Su Ping smiled. Sister Wang goes to the supermarket several times a day. She must have a lot of food at home with her. We just need to offer a bit more money. We aren't short on cash. Lu Nana lifted her chin triumphantly. Problems that can be solved with money aren't problems at all. The two of them turned and went to 3204. After Wang Meiwan opened the door, Su Ping explained their purpose. Wang Meiwan feigned difficulty. The little food I have at home, I don't know how many more days it can last. I'm so worried I can't even sleep. Su Ping's smile didn't fade. Everyone knows you love to shop, Sister Wang. Sister, we really have nothing to eat. Please sell us some. Just name a price. And we certainly won't haggle. Wang Meiwan thought for a moment. I remember I bought a case of instant noodles before, and haven't touched it yet. How about I give that to you? Lu Nana looked a bit disgusted. What's so good about instant noodles? Wang Meijuan's smile vanished instantly, and she moved to close the door. Su Ping quickly grabbed it. Sister Wang, instant noodles are fine. One case, right? I'll give you 100 yuan. What do you think? 100, huh? Wang Meiwan drawled. Su Ping understood immediately. 300 yuan, Sister Wang. How about that? This time, Wang Meiwan didn't hesitate. She agreed with a face full of smiles. She took the 300 yuan in cash and handed over a box of instant noodles. Lu Nana complained in a low voice. In the supermarket, it's 30 yuan at most. She wants 300. She's really gone money mad. Su Ping glanced back at the door of 3204. It's fine, as long as we can buy it. Who knows when this rain will stop. The two of them turned and went back to 3201. I put down my phone. None of these three neighbors were easy to deal with. On the other hand, I hadn't seen the resident of 3203 yet, and there had been no movement. I wondered what kind of person they were, but it didn't matter. Whoever tries to harm me, I'll just deal with them. It was pitch black outside. The power still wasn't back on. Everyone in the group chat was complaining. Phones were almost out of battery. The management and the building lead offered no solutions. Lu Chunhua started another long speech. Stay calm. Hardships will eventually pass. Those words were somewhat useful yesterday. But today, no one was buying it. Talking in the group is unclear and wastes power. I'm going to the 22nd floor to find the building lead. Who's coming with me? The call was met with 100 responses. They started a sign-up list in the group. After the list was done, the group went completely quiet. I knew they had likely all gone to find Lu Chunhua. However, I didn't plan on going out. The heavy rain would last for several months. There's excitement every day. There was no rush for this one moment. Electricity was a massive problem for others. But it had no impact on me. After dark, I entered the dimension. I had a sumptuous dinner. And continued setting up the bathroom. I pumped water from the stream to fill the water tower. It was enough for me to wash for half a month. After pumping, the stream didn't seem to decrease. It must be running water. I felt relieved. Inside the dimension, I had a solar water heater. Available for use at any time. Waking up the next day, the wastewater drained into the soil and vanished. The ground remained dry. Even animal waste was purified by the dimension itself. I only needed to feed them. After breakfast, I steamed rice and stewed meat. I then brought ingredients into the dimension. I made dumplings to freeze in the cellar. The environment was perfect for doing chores. I turned on the portable TV. I watched shows while wrapping dumplings. The rain pattered outside the window. It was quite peaceful. But others in Building 11 couldn't be at peace. The power had been out for over 24 hours with no sign of return. The water flow was also gradually weakening. The water would stop at any moment. Without water, electricity, or gas, people trapped in this high-rise were no different from those waiting for death. The floodwater had reached the 6th floor. People from the 5th and 6th floors hadn't found a place to stay, so they could only live in the hallways. They didn't dare stay on the lower floors, so they simply moved to the 22nd floor, staying right outside Lu Chunhua's home. I watched through surveillance as Lu Chunhua refused to let them in. They knocked on her door 800 times a day, either to borrow the toilet or the kitchen. She was too concerned with her reputation to refuse, so her front door was basically never closed. The people from 3201 and 3204 couldn't sit still either. Every day they took the stairs down, stayed for hours, and then came back. They brought back heaps of news to post in the group. Listening to them, I didn't find them that annoying anymore. At least I knew the situation in the building without going out. Another 2 days passed. The water flooded up to the 8th floor. Natural gas and tap water were both cut off. The water shortage was manageable. It was pouring outside, so just sticking a container out the window provided water. But without gas, everyone completely panicked. They couldn't even have a hot meal. Some wanted to burn furniture, but solid wood furniture was rare. Composite boards produced choking smoke when burned, and didn't last long. One mistake could lead to a fire. They miserably endured another 2 days. 7th day of the storm. The water submerged the 12th floor. Residents from the 4th to 12th floors were all crowded in the stairwells. From the 22nd floor up. Now the hallways from the 22nd to 31st floors were full of people. If the 13th floor got flooded, the 32nd floor hallway wouldn't be spared. Though no one was living in the 32nd floor hallway yet. People had already started coming up to knock on doors. They were either borrowing the bathroom, or borrowing food. A few days ago, people were still willing to lend or sell things, but now everyone could see. The storm wasn't going to stop anytime soon. Those with food clutched their supplies tightly, not daring to give anything away, especially Wang Meiwan. When someone knocked, she played dead. She didn't even dare to open her front door, but keeping the door closed was useless. Everyone in Building 11 knew that Wang Meiwan loved to stockpile discounted food at home. That day near noon, Lu Chunhua couldn't stay inside her room anymore. She opened her door and led a large crowd up to the 32nd floor. Standing at the door of 3204, they pounded loudly. I heard the commotion while wrapping buns next door. I immediately paused the TV and opened the phone surveillance. Lu Chunhua pounded for a long time, but the door didn't budge. She simply raised her voice and called out, "Meiwan, open the door. Everyone came here with no ill intentions. They just want to buy some food from you. The money won't be short. Neighbors should help each other, right? Who doesn't know you're warm-hearted? The more it's like this, the more you should step forward." She was putting Wang Meiwan on a pedestal. Wang Meiwan was obviously not stupid. No matter what she said, Wang didn't show her face. During the standoff, the door to 3201 opened. Lu Nana and Su Ping walked out. Lu Nana leaned in close to Lu Chunhua. "Sister Lu. On this floor, the one who likes to stockpile. It's not just Sister Wang." Lu Chunhua was immediately interested. "Who are you talking about?" Lu Nana glanced toward my direction. The young girl who just moved into 3203. The day before the rain, she brought back several big bags of things. I haven't seen her go out in all these days. She shouldn't be short on food or drink, someone in the crowd muttered. Hasn't been out at all? Could something have happened to her? Right. A young girl. Could she have already? Lu Chunhua quickly took over. As the building lead, I have to ensure the safety of the residents. Since no one has seen her for so many days. Maybe an accident really did happen. Let's knock and see first. If no one opens it, we'll open the door together and go in to check. As neighbors, we can't let something happen without knowing. The crowd echoed their agreement. This wasn't about safety, they wanted to break in. To fish in troubled waters. The corners of my mouth curled into a cold smile. I wasn't looking for trouble. Yet you're forcing your way to my door. I put all the unfinished buns back into the dimension, wiped the table, and walked toward the door. They were already kicking the door outside. I reached the door. opened the small window, and looked outside with a cold face. What are you doing? The man kicking the door was startled. After regaining his balance, he frowned. Oh, so you're fine? If you're fine, why didn't you open the door? You let us kick it forever. I'm exhausted. I was almost amused by his anger. He came to kick my door, and then had the nerve to question me righteously. Lu Chunhua stepped forward and spoke softly. Xiaonan. It's great that you're okay. We were all worried sick just now. Looking at Lu Chunhua's fake concern, I chuckled mockingly. Is that so? A flash of anger appeared on Lu Chunhua's face. Her tone became stiff. Xiaonan, what do you mean by that? Do you not believe what I'm saying? I didn't answer. Just saying flatly, well, now that you see I'm fine, you should be relieved. You can go now. As soon as I spoke, Lu Chunhua's cheeks flushed red, and her breathing became rapid. The man who was kicking the door stepped up again. He said crudely, go where? Open the door quickly. We have something to say to you. Lu Chunhua also adjusted her expression. Xiaonan, open the door. What is it? It's nothing big. It's just that everyone is out of food. I heard you bought quite a bit, so we want to buy some from you. You'll be paid in full. I said 2 words flatly, not selling. Lu Chunhua's smile completely collapsed. Xiaonan, you can't be like this. You can't be so selfish. I raised an eyebrow. Refusing to sell to you is being selfish? The man started shouting again. Of course it's selfish. You have food and drink for yourself, while watching us suffer from hunger. You're too selfish. Someone like you doesn't deserve to live in this building. He spat as he spoke. Lu Chunhua and the others all joined in, denouncing me collectively. Lu Nana also came forward, gloating. One can't be too selfish. Otherwise, if you spark public outrage and anger everyone in the building, you won't be able to stay here anymore. It's raining so hard outside, and the flood is so deep. Where could you go if you're kicked out? The man snorted coldly. That's her own fault. Why doesn't she just obediently sell the things to us? Lu Chunhua frowned, looking at me with feigned helplessness. Xiaonan, look, it's not that I won't help you, but you've really offended everyone. It won't be easy for you alone. Why don't you just sell some food to everyone? It's not like we're not paying. The man looked at me fiercely. I'll give you one more chance. If you still refuse and keep chirping, don't blame us for being impolite. At that time, never mind money. You won't even be able to keep living in this house. My gaze swept over everyone's faces. I asked softly, are you all like this? Aren't you afraid I'll call the police? The man burst into laughter. Call the police? How long has the power been out? Does your phone even have charge? You can't even make a call. How will you call the police? Even if you really did, do you think the police would come? It's storming outside, and the flood is so deep. Who would make the trip for such a small matter? I didn't speak, looking deep in thought. The man thought I was afraid, and lifted his chin proudly. Now you know fear? If you're scared, open the door quickly. Maybe we'll still leave you some food, and allow you to continue living inside. I looked at him again, appearing confused. I think what you said is quite right. The man was stunned for a moment, then became happy. If you think it's right, then hurry up and open the door. I ignored him, instead looking at Lu Chunhua and the others. Do you all also think he's right? As long as I don't sell the things to you, you plan to rob me openly? And then kick me out to fend for myself? Lu Nana's eyes glittered with malice. You can't blame us for that. If anyone's to blame, it's you for being too selfish. The others chimed in one by one. Lu Chunhua sighed. Xiaonan, why bother? How long can a young girl like you guard so many supplies? How long can you last? You might as well bring the things out and share them with everyone. That way, everyone will remember your kindness. In the future, when you need help, everyone won't just stand by and watch. Just moments ago, they said they would buy. Now when they opened their mouths, it was for me to just hand over the supplies. But I wasn't surprised at all. The more obvious their evil became, the more I liked it. I curled my lips. Since you all put it that way, then I can rest easy. The man snapped. What are you resting easy about? I'm warning you, open the door now. Stop playing games. Everyone knows you're the only one living in this house. Bluffing won't help. The others started urging, open the door. Hurry up and open it. We want food. I think we should stop talking to her. Just break the door down. What can she alone do against so many of us? We just want some of her food, that's all. She's acting like we're taking her life. How petty. When the rain stops and the water recedes, I'll buy 10 times the amount back for her. I'll buy 20 times. By then, we'll watch her eat it all herself. Hearing these vicious words, I felt no stirrings in my heart. I slowly closed the small window. In the next moment, a sharp dagger appeared in my hand. I gripped the dagger and opened the front door directly. Outside, the man was about to kick the door again. Seeing the door suddenly open, he stumbled forward. But this time he didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed especially gleefully. He turned sideways and said to Lu Chunhua and the others, I hadn't even kicked it. And she opened it. She really is scared. The man lifted his chin at me triumphantly. Ha ha ha. Since you opened the door. Then hurry up and bring all the food out. I didn't move. The man frowned. You're not going? Then I'll go in and find it myself. As he spoke, he stepped toward me, reaching out to push me aside. Just as his hand was about to touch me, I raised my arm, and the sharp dagger in my hand slashed hard across his hand. The man let out a blood-curdling scream. Blood sprayed like an arrow, and 4 fingers fell onto the ground in a row. The sound of the fingers hitting the floor wasn't loud, but the surroundings were terrifyingly quiet. The sound seemed deafening. There were more than 20 people standing in the hallway, but at this moment, no one dared to make a sound. Even their breathing became shallow. Someone subconsciously took a few steps back, looking at me with a face full of terror. The man with the severed fingers had his other hand shaking uncontrollably in the air, as if he had Parkinson's. Blood constantly dripped from his mangled palm. I spun the dagger in my palm, looking at everyone playfully. Who else wants to enter my house? No one spoke. I raised my eyebrows. Is this all the courage you have? With this little courage, how do you dare to rob me? I took a step forward. The man with the severed fingers backed away repeatedly, his footing unsteady, and he fell to the ground. His face was pale, drenched in cold sweat. The previous arrogance was completely gone. I only gave him a glance, before looking at Lu Chunhua. Sister Lu, weren't you wanting me to come out? Saying you had something to tell me? Now that I'm out, why aren't you talking? Lu Chunhua's mouth twitched. The way she looked at me was as if she were seeing a demon. Xiao Nan, how could you use a weapon to hurt someone? She regained her thoughts, and her voice grew louder. We're all neighbors. Even if there's a disagreement, we should talk it through. How could you cut off his fingers? This is intentional injury. You'll be sentenced for this. I smiled without fear. Then go call the police. Lu Chunhua's face instantly became ugly. Weren't you all bold enough to threaten me earlier? And kick my door? Weren't you relying on the fact that no one can call the police now? I twirled the dagger in my hand. You say I did it? Just because I cut them? I looked at the others. Do you all say I cut his fingers? The dagger was still stained with blood, glinting with a cold, sinister light. The timid ones quickly shook their heads. Not me. Seeing someone lead, others chimed in. Lu Chunhua's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. She gritted her teeth. There are so many of us. Are we still afraid of her alone? Think clearly. If you don't resist now, she'll be stepping all over our heads next. These words were highly inflammatory. A burly man directly spoke up. Sister Lu is right. Let's go together and take away her dagger. We can't let a mere slip of a girl step all over us. Right. The more she refuses to let us in, the more it proves there's food in that house. If we don't act, we'll starve to death anyway. Might as well take a chance. An excited light flashed in my eyes. After my body was modified by the spiritual spring, I had never actually fought with anyone. Today was a good chance to test it out. A group of people charged at me at once. I was surrounded in an instant, but these people couldn't even touch the corner of my clothes. The dagger danced in my hands. Every time I swung it, it left a very deep wound on someone's body. Every kick sent someone flying. Just as I was about to deal with Lu Chunhua, footsteps suddenly came from inside room 3203. The footsteps were massive, stepping on the floor one by one, making a dull, heavy thud. Not to mention the others. Even I was completely bewildered. I was the only one in my house. Who could those footsteps belong to? Just as I was wondering, a massive figure squeezed out from inside the door. His figure was simply too large. The double door, which wasn't fully open, was far too narrow for him. Lu Nana and Lu Chunhua were blocking the doorway. He displeasedly raised his front paw and swatted them both away. They were flung against the wall and then hit the ground hard. Their faces instantly turned pale, and they spat out fresh blood. This scene terrified everyone present. The few people who were still struggling to hold on all ran toward the stairwell. There were screams and cries. There's a tiger. Run. Help. There's a tiger. While everyone screamed and fled, I stood there motionless. The corners of my mouth curled up. This wasn't a tiger. It was the orange cat I raised. I stared at the orange cat for a while and softly called out, Zai Zai. As soon as I called his name, Zai Zai walked toward me step by step. He was almost touching the ceiling. He lowered his fluffy head and nuzzled against me. His tail swayed gently. He just wasn't used to this giant body yet. He thought he was being cute, but he knocked me back several steps. Feeling both helpless and amused, I raised my hand and stroked his head. Wait for me, be good, don't be naughty. I walked around Zai Zai and headed toward Lu Nana and Lu Chunhua, who were lying on the ground. I looked down at them. It seems you really wanted to enter my home. Well, let's go then. I'll take you in right now. The two struggled and shook their heads desperately. But the wall was right behind them. There was nowhere to hide. I smiled gently. What are you afraid of? You wanted to enter so badly just now. Now that I'm inviting you, you're refusing? Are you trying to insult me? No, 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 no. Lu Chunhua shook her head incessantly. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Xiao Nan, no. Miss Nan, I was wrong. Please, let me go. Don't let the tiger eat me. Eat you? I looked Lu Chunhua over. Zai Zai never eats anything filthy. Despite being called filthy, Lu Chunhua wasn't angry. Instead, she nodded in agreement. Miss Nan is right. I am filthy. If he eats me, he'll get diarrhea. Please don't let him eat me. Lu Nana didn't want to be left behind either. Yes, I'm filthy too. Don't eat me. I haven't showered in a long time. My body is very dirty. I twirled the dagger in my hand and said with quite a bit of distress, the two of you brought so many people to cause me trouble. If I let you go easily, won't that tell everyone I'm a pushover? It would be a hassle if everyone starts trying to trample me in the future. The more I think about it, the more I feel I should kill you both to make an example out of you. My expression was very serious when I said this. Lu Nana was so scared that she shook like a leaf. Tears streamed down her face. At the same time, I smelled the stench of urine. Lu Chunhua stared at me intently. After confirming I wasn't joking, she gritted her teeth. Miss Nan, if you break one of our arms, we will be the examples you use to warn the others. If anyone else tries to cause you trouble, they'll think twice after seeing what happened to us. What do you think? I feigned deep thought. Would that work? It would. Lu Chunhua quickly promised. If anyone else is blind enough to trouble you, I'll definitely stand in front of your door to block them. I finally smiled. I'll remember what you said. If this happens again, I won't just deal with them. I'll kill you with one strike first. Lu Chunhua was overjoyed. Thank you, Miss Nan. I curled my lips. It's too early to thank me. Do it. Lu Chunhua was stunned for a moment, but she didn't plan to go back on her word. But Lu Nana screamed in terror. No. No. Don't break my arm. I looked at her coldly. If your arm isn't broken, then you must want to die here. Before Lu Nana could speak, Lu Chunhua had scrambled up from the ground and slapped her hard across the face. You'd better wake up. If you want to die, don't drag me down with you. I stood to the side with the dagger, watching them break each other's arms with my own eyes. Lu Chunhua was big and sturdy, and her kicks were ruthless. It only took 2 stomps to break Lu Nana's arm. But Lu Nana was thin and weak. She didn't have much strength. She kicked Lu Chunhua's arm several times, without success. Finally, the two walked to the stairwell entrance and laid Lu Chunhua's arm across the doorframe. Only when Lu Nana kicked it with full force did a loud crack sound. Lu Chunhua's left arm, specifically the forearm, was now bent 90 degrees in the wrong direction. I gave Lu Nana a thumbs up. Good job. After that, I turned around and walked home. I stood at the door and let Zai Zai in first. Only after he entered did I follow. As I was about to enter, I tilted my head and glanced at the peephole of room 3204. Wang Meiwan was peering out through it. The moment I looked her way, she jerked back several steps. I went home with a smile, closed the door, and left everything outside behind me. In the living room, Zai Zai was sitting there. Between the top of his head and the ceiling, there was almost no space left. An orange cat's patterns are similar to a Siberian tiger's. Plus, since he didn't meow, people had mistaken him for one. I walked over to Zai Zai and looked up at him. Zai Zai, do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Zai Zai tilted his head, lay down on the floor, and nuzzled me with his head. I reached out, hugged his head, and rubbed it for a long time. Petting a big cat is indeed much more satisfying. I checked his whole body over, asking how he felt as I did so. Zai Zai had evolved. So far, there seemed to be no side effects. In my previous life, at this time, the 4 cats were all still in a deep sleep. The reason the evolution was successful so early in this life should be because of the spiritual spring water. Now that Zai Zai had evolved, his physical condition had improved, and he would be better able to adapt to the apocalypse. Even if something were to happen to me one day, he would be able to survive well. However, looking at his massive size, I was a bit worried. This apartment was only 70 square meters. If the other 3 cats woke up and became this big, there wouldn't be enough room. I tentatively asked Zai Zai, can you change back to your previous size? Zai Zai squinted his eyes, and his body began to shrink. In a short while, he returned to his pre-evolution size. He looked up and meowed at me. I smiled and took him into my arms. Big cats are great for petting, but only the smaller ones can be held like this. I carried Zai Zai over to the bed. The other 3 cats were still sleeping soundly. Since I had nothing to do for the moment, I turned on the surveillance. I saw Lu Nana in room 3201 next door. Her arm was broken. She could only use strips of cloth to bind it haphazardly. She was gnashing her teeth in hatred, wishing she could rush in and tear me into 1,000 pieces. But when she thought about my prowess, and that tiger that swatted her away with one paw, terror flooded back into her. Unable to get revenge on me, Lu Nana immediately turned her sights on Su Ping. Su Ping, you coward. You watched me get bullied by Nancy I, and you didn't even say a word. Su Ping's face didn't look good either. What could I have done? She's so powerful, and she had a knife. So many people charged at her, and they still couldn't beat her. If I had gone up, how would it be different from suicide? If I were injured too, who would be taking care of you right now? Lu Nana got even angrier. If you had been out in front, would I have been injured? Su Ping's face darkened. You were the one who wanted to provoke Nancy. What does your broken arm have to do with me? What did you say? Lu Nana's eyes bulged with rage. How could you say that? Before we went out. Who was the one saying we didn't have much instant ramen left? Who said it was unpleasant and that it would be best to get some food from her? I said those things. But I didn't tell you to go. You're the one who stepped up and got on her bad side. And now you're turning around and blaming me? You're completely unreasonable. I'm going to sleep. Having said his piece, Su Ping walked into the master bedroom and locked the door. Lu Nana screamed in the living room in a rage. Staring fixedly at the bedroom door. The 10th day of the torrential rain. The floodwaters had submerged the 14th floor. Residents from the lower floors had moved into the hallways of the 32nd and 33rd floors. The already cramped hallway was piled with luggage, becoming even more crowded and chaotic. But the 1 square meter in front of my door was spotless. No one dared to approach. Making an example of them had worked. I was very satisfied with the result. Although these people didn't dare trouble me. Living in the hallway made it impossible to be quiet. Children's crying. Adults scolding. Even though my home's soundproofing was very good, I could still hear some noise. What was more annoying was the knocking. Room 3202 seemed as if no one was there. No matter how much people knocked or cursed outside, there was no reaction from within. And after Lu Nana's arm was broken in 3201, her temper became increasingly explosive. After being plagued by knocking for 2 days, she directly opened the door. Knock, knock, knock. What are you knocking for? Before she could finish her sentence, a large, sturdy woman slapped her hard across the face. Lu Nana fell directly to the ground. Her broken arm was pinned beneath her, and she let out a shrill scream of pain. The woman looked down at her. You. I've been knocking for ages. Why were you taking your sweet time to open the door? Lu Nana's features were distorted with pain. You bitch. The woman kicked her. Lu Nana was in so much pain she lost her voice. Su Ping walked aggressively toward the door. But behind the woman, a brawny man with arm tattoos appeared. Compared to the man, Su Ping was as frail as a chick. The man glared. And Su Ping instantly became cowardly. The woman sneered. And waved to a few people in the corner. Bring our things over here. We're moving inside. Su Ping's face changed drastically. You can't move in. This is my home. We're all neighbors. When someone's in trouble, you can't just stand by and do nothing, right? The two of you are young and strong. You can sleep anywhere. My family, on the other hand, has elderly people and children. They can't handle the dampness. You two are at least highly educated. You wouldn't fail to understand what it means to respect the elderly and care for the young, right? As the woman spoke, the man behind her clenched his fists, staring at Su Ping like a predator. 2 sturdy old men, an old woman, and 2 fat children, carrying various bags, bypassed the woman and walked inside. Su Ping was pushed back by one of the old men. The family of 6 moved in just like that, closing the door behind them. The 3 families still left in the hallway watched this scene with envy. But they didn't dare provoke the family that just went in. Every member of that family was big and strong. They were clearly not to be messed with even before the rain. Someone who had asked them for food before had been beaten up. They were basically like bandits. The 3 families looked at each other and finally turned their heads to look at room 3204. Room 3201 and 3203 were off limits. 3202 was too small. 3204 was different. It was a 3-bedroom apartment. Also, Wang Meiwan loved to buy things on sale. There must be plenty of food and supplies in her home. I watched the people on the surveillance, looking at their predatory gazes fixed on 3204. The corners of my mouth curled up slightly. Lu Nana and Su Ping were already being educated. Wang Meiwan probably wouldn't have to wait much longer either, as long as they didn't cause me trouble. It had nothing to do with me. I put down my phone and walked to the window to look outside. Before the big rain, looking out from the 32nd floor, one could see flickering neon lights. The entire X-city was like a city that never slept. But now, as far as the eye could see, there were only extremely low clouds, pouring rain, and the surging surface of the water. In the past 2 days, floating corpses could already be seen on the water. The 15th day of the torrential rain. As soon as I woke up, I went to the window. The rain had indeed lessened significantly. The survivors in the building were all cheering. I knew that it wouldn't rain from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. today. The authorities would take this opportunity to conduct rescues, tally the survivors, and distribute relief grain. In my last life, at this time, everyone thought the disaster was about to pass. But as soon as 5 p.m. passed, the rain fell even harder than before. Despair shrouded everyone's heart. People in the gymnasium gradually went mad, fighting over resources, fighting and killing each other. Thinking back on it now, I still feel a sense of malice. But the opportunity of the rain stopping today was rare. I planned to head out. While I was planning, I suddenly heard meowing. It wasn't Zai Zai. I looked back and saw that Tang Yuan, Bai Bai, and Tian Tian had all woken up. I walked over quickly and stroked them, trying to ask, can you all become big? As soon as I asked, all 4 cats became giant. The living room was instantly packed. I was surrounded by 4 fluffy and warm bodies. It was a bit of a squeeze, but exceptionally warm. After the extreme cold arrives, leaning against the giant cats, for warmth. The thought of it was so beautiful. I know you're all very powerful. Change back quickly. The 4 cats shrank back to their normal size. And meowed at me. I glanced at the empty food bowls. Got up to add cat food. And lined up large bowls filled with cat meals. Ever since Size woke up, his appetite had increased manifold. The cat food I had originally prepared to last 100 years was now far from enough. These past few days, I had been making cat meals, processing various meats from my space, and storing them in large stainless steel buckets. After eating and drinking their fill, the 3 cats who just woke up practically wanted to stay on my body. I enjoyed it immensely. Noon arrived in the blink of an eye. The rain had stopped. I checked the surveillance. The hallway was empty. Those people had already moved into room 3204. The 3-bedroom apartment now housed Wang Meichuan's family of 3, a young couple, and 3 other families. I was very curious about how they all managed to fit. The 15th day of the torrential rain, the rain had finally lessened. I changed into waterproof and cold-proof clothes. I took out a kayak from my space and prepared to head out. The 4 cats looked at me longingly, clearly wanting to come along. I thought about it, crouched down, and discussed it with them. I'll put you in the space first. Once I've left here and found a suitable place, I'll let you out. How about it? The 4 cats understood me and nodded in a very human-like way. I cautioned them, don't become big once you're in the space. Otherwise, you'll scare the small animals. And we won't have a steady supply of meat to eat. They nodded obediently. I put them into the space. Before leaving, I checked the surveillance first. The hallway was empty, leaving only trash all over the floor. I opened the door and went out. Just as I stepped outside, the door of the neighboring 3202 also opened. It was actually a Taoist priest. He was around 40 years old, tall and thin, wearing a grayish-blue cotton and linen Taoist robe. His long hair was held in place with an ebony hairpin. I didn't know if he was a real Taoist or just role-playing. But it didn't have much to do with me. I looked away and dragged the rubber boat toward the stairwell. The power had been out for 10 days. The elevator had long since become a mere decoration. The floodwater had already reached the 15th floor. I had to walk from the 32nd floor to the 16th floor, then jump out from a window. I had to drag a rubber boat weighing nearly 100 kilograms down 15 flights of stairs. I carried it on my shoulders as I went down. Every step was easy, and my footsteps were almost inaudible. The exercise during this time hadn't been in vain. I had just walked down 1 floor, when I saw a young man and woman sitting at the stairwell entrance on the 30th floor. They must have moved up from the 15th floor yesterday. As I passed them, I raised the kayak a bit higher, so I wouldn't hit their things. Just as I walked around the corner, a girl's voice sounded behind me. Hello, are you going down with that kayak to go look for help? Although the rain outside is lighter, it's still raining. The water is very deep too. It's not safe at all. I suggest you shouldn't go out. The rain is lighter now. I believe the authorities will definitely send people over. We'll be saved then. Even though we were complete strangers, the girl still said these things. Regardless of her motivation, I still accepted her goodwill and seriously thanked her. Thank you for the warning. But I still have to go out and see. After thanking her, I continued down without looking back. Just before I was out of sight of the couple, I paused for a moment, looked up at them, and asked, how many places do you think haven't been submerged? How much food hasn't been submerged? If there's a rescue, how likely are you to be taken away? And after that, how much relief grain would be given out each day? Having said that, I didn't care about their reaction, and quickened my pace down the stairs. I successfully reached the 16th floor. No one was living in the hallway, but it was full of trash and excrement. The smell was indescribable. I glanced at it with a frown, and turned back into the stairwell. The stairwell window was relatively small, and it couldn't be fully opened. Just as I was thinking about whether to smash through the wall, I heard footsteps coming from above. I looked up, and saw the Taoist from 3202 also carrying a kayak down. When our eyes met, he suddenly smiled. What a coincidence. I didn't feel like talking to him. He poked his head out and took a look at the hallway. He pulled back with a frown. This is too filthy. Is there no sense of civic duty anymore? I almost burst out laughing. We're in the apocalypse. Who still cares about civic duty? He grumbled for a while. Before finally quieting down, he turned to look at the stairwell window. The Taoist continued, let's go out from here. I have a hammer at home. We can get out if we smash through the wall and window. Help me watch my kayak. And I'll go back and get the hammer. How about it? I raised an eyebrow. Deal. He turned and headed back upstairs. I leaned against the wall and waited. But before the Taoist returned, the couple arrived first. The 2 of them were carrying a large, bright red plastic tub. My eye twitched at the sight. Surely they didn't plan on going out in that. The 2 of them also looked at me. After a moment of silence, the girl spoke first. Hello, my name is Emo Chanchan. And this is my boyfriend, Zhou Ziang. What's your name? Nancy I. Emo Chanchan gasped. You're that Nancy I? I raised an eyebrow. Which one? She hesitated. The corner of my mouth quirked up. I'm the woman living in 3201. Mo Chanchan covered her mouth, her eyes wide with shock. It really is you. I thought she was scared by my fierce reputation. But then I heard her exclaim, I totally admire you. I finally get to meet you in person. This was quite absurd. I thought I would scare the young girl to tears, but it instantly turned into a fan meeting. Mo Chanchan ran over happily, staring at me with sparkling eyes. That woman Lu Chunhua thinks she's so special just because she works for the property management. She's self-righteous with everyone. She clearly tries to take advantage of others while pretending she's doing it for their own good. She's so annoying. Ever since you taught her a lesson last time, she hasn't dared to cause trouble. Nancy, you are truly amazing. She became more excited as she spoke. Actually, I wanted to teach her a lesson too, but I didn't have the guts. When I heard you gave her a piece of your mind, I really wanted to go look for you, but Xiang stopped me from going. I thought I wouldn't get a chance to see you, but I didn't expect to meet you here. Zhou Xiang stepped forward and pulled on Mo Chanchan, looking at me somewhat apologetically. Sorry about that. My girlfriend is very outgoing, and talks quite a bit. I hope she didn't bother you. It's fine. Footsteps echoed from the stairs. The Taoist walked down, carrying an all-black iron sledgehammer. It looked incredibly heavy. He dropped the hammer on the floor, making the ground shake. Move back toward the stairs. I don't want to accidentally hit you. I walked straight up a few steps. Zhou Xiang also pulled Mo Chanchan back with him. The Taoist gripped the handle with both hands, raised the sledgehammer high, and slammed it against the wall. The whole building seemed to tremble. A hole was smashed directly into the wall. The Taoist struck blow after blow. Mo Chanchan's sharp intake of breath was clearly audible. I don't think I could even lift a hammer that heavy. And he's swinging it so many times? That's just too impressive. Chanchan, keep it down. Zhou Xiang whispered a warning, seeing the Taoist hit it nearly 100 times. I spoke up. Take a break. Let me try. The Taoist stopped, stared at me for a moment, and then nodded. All right, you take over. I took the sledgehammer and walked toward the window. The hammer was indeed heavy, but since my body had been modified by the spirit spring water, swinging it wasn't a struggle at all. It didn't take long for me to smash the window frame out of the wall. The frame fell into the water. With a loud splash, I knocked away the rough edges, leaving a wide opening. The wind blew the fine mist of rain inside, feeling cold against my face. The water level was halfway up the 15th floor, about 1.5 meters below us. I picked up the kayak and tossed it down, then jumped down right after it. The moment I jumped, I clearly heard Mo Chanchan's gasp. After steadying myself, I looked up to see Mo Chanchan peeking down, her face full of fear and worry. I waved to show her I was okay. Without waiting for her to say anything else, I paddled the kayak away. The wind and rain persisted. Going downstream saved me a lot of effort. Before I had gone very far, a loud noise came from behind me. I turned to look. 2 more kayaks had been tossed into the water. I kept watching as the Taoist jumped nimbly onto one of them. A moment later, Mo Chanchan and Zhou Xiang also jumped into the other kayak. I raised an eyebrow. Weren't they carrying a large red tub earlier? Where did this kayak come from? I quickly realized. It must belong to the Taoist. This guy was quite helpful. I didn't dwell on it, turning my gaze back to the path ahead. I was strong, and with the wind and current, the kayak moved very fast. After 10 minutes, they were nowhere to be seen. I paddled toward more secluded areas. Soon, the buildings disappeared, leaving only a vast expanse of water. This should be near the wholesale market. The buildings were completely submerged, not a trace of them left. Once I was sure no one could see me, I brought out an assault boat from my space and hopped onto it. I then put the kayak back into the space. The assault boat was gasoline-powered, fast, and had plenty of horsepower. It even had a canopy. I brought the 4 cats out of the space. They looked excited, jumping onto the seats to look out. Be careful. Don't fall in. Right after I said that, the 4 cats went in like dumplings, one after another jumping into the water. My heart tightened. Just as I was about to jump in to save them, I saw their heads pop up from the water. They had increased their size at some point, swimming happily in the water. As I watched, a smile slowly spread across my face. Fine. What else can I do but spoil my own cats? What surprised me even more was that they couldn't swim before. This must be an ability they gained after evolving. I watched them for a while, seeing them take to the water like fish. I felt relieved. I put on my diving gear and jumped into the water. Diving was a hobby I was certified for. This depth was nothing. Seeing me dive, the 4 cats gathered around. They were faster than me and showed no discomfort. It was likely an evolutionary trait. I dove down easily, my vision unblocked. I was surprised to see that my current position was exactly above the pet supply section. I immediately swam toward a store. I came here often. I was very familiar with it. The heavy rain had started in the afternoon, It was flooded the next day after closing for the night. All the stores were tightly shut. I took out a glass-breaking tool and pressed hard on a corner of the glass. The glass shattered silently due to the water resistance. Even though the glass broke, it didn't fly everywhere. It just slowly sank to the bottom. I waited for all the shards to sink. Just as I was about to swim in, I turned my head. Zai had already taken the lead and swam through the window. The other cats followed. Tian, who was at the back, even waved a paw at me, telling me to hurry up. I smiled silently and swam in after them. The inside was already filled with water, but the shelves were still standing steady. I took all the sealed items like cat food and canned food, storing them in my space along with the shelves. I stacked them on the empty land on both sides of the stream. Just as I was heading to the warehouse, Zai swam over with a plastic cylinder in his mouth. It was filled with cat toys. Seeing how much he wanted it, I put it into the space and patted his head. I'll keep it for you. I'll give it to you when we get back. Zai squinted his eyes and swam away happily. The other cats followed suit, bringing over things they liked. I collected all of them. I cleared out 2 entire streets of pet supplies. Exhausted, I floated to the surface, climbed onto the assault boat, took off my oxygen mask, and gasped for air. It was already 1 p.m. I had been down there for 3 hours. The 4 cats had also had their fill of fun and climbed back onto the boat. They returned to their normal size. Shaking the water off their bodies, I used dry towels to dry them one by one. Just as I finished, I heard the roar of engines. Several assault boats were speeding toward me. Unsure who they were, I quickly put the 4 cats into the space and watched the approaching boats warily. 3 assault boats pulled up. There were 3 men on each boat. They were all men, wearing leather clothes and sunglasses, with arrogant expressions. Whoa, there's already an assault boat here. Brother Chung, look, someone beat us to it. Just one person. And it's a girl. This boat is even bigger than ours. It even has a canopy. If only this were ours. Don't you think so, Brother Chung? The men spoke loudly. The man called Brother Chung hadn't spoken yet. I watched them with a calm expression. Brother Chung locked eyes with me for a moment, then suddenly laughed heartily. You bastards. We have our own boat. So why are you coveting someone else's? What? Just because she's a pretty girl. You want to ditch me and join her? Hearing Brother Chung's words, the other men laughed along. Brother Chung, what are you saying? Are we that kind of people? Brother Chung laughed even harder. Even if you were, she wouldn't necessarily want you. Alright, stop the nonsense. Don't forget what we're here for. Brother Chung then shouted to me, hey, beautiful. Looks like you're well equipped. Want to work with us? We could scavenge more supplies together. No, thanks. I refused. The smile on Brother Chung's face didn't fade. Alright. The fact that you can come here alone, with such complete equipment, means you're tougher than us. You really don't need to collaborate with us. Let's go, boys. The 3 boats sped off. They slowed down about 1,000 meters away from me. I gave them a quick glance before turning around to leave. They didn't act not because they were afraid or kind, but because they believed the disaster would soon pass, and order would quickly be restored. Once the heavy rain continued without stopping, morality would collapse, and humanity would be lost. I found a place with no buildings to change my clothes. I put the assault boat away, and took out the kayak. It was almost 2 p.m. My stomach was growling. I took out a portion of braised pork over rice, a large box of dumplings, and a bottle of Dayao soda. I finished all 30 dumplings and the entire bowl of rice. Full, I took out 3 large bags of snacks and instant noodles, and packed them into a large plastic bag. Coming out for a trip and bringing nothing back would only arouse suspicion. As for others' envy and jealousy, that wasn't my concern. I paddled the kayak back. By 3 p.m., I was near the Mingchen Gardens area. It was still early. I changed direction and paddled toward a 60-story skyscraper. I circled halfway around the building and saw a floor-to-ceiling window that had been violently smashed, revealing a dark entrance. This technique looked so much like that Taoist's. Just as I thought that, a familiar voice called out, Nancy I. It really is you. Come in, come in. It was Mo Chanchian. I hesitated for a moment but paddled over. The entrance was only 30 or 40 centimeters above the water. I stepped inside with one leg. Mo Chanchian crouched down and held the kayak. After I steadied myself, I turned around and pulled the kayak in. Mo Chanchian looked at me with pure admiration. Nancy I. You're truly amazing. I smiled. Seeing 2 other kayaks nearby, I asked. Are you all here? Mo Chanchian nodded vigorously. Yeah. We and the Taoist are all here. The Taoist even smashed the glass. I had already guessed it. And now it was just confirmed. Mo Chanchian continued talking. There doesn't seem to be anyone in this building. The Taoist and Xiang have both gone upstairs. I was just about to hide the kayaks further inside and head up when I saw you. Since she greeted me with a smile, I stopped being cold toward her. Then let's hide the kayaks quickly and go up to take a look. I noticed the sky was turning dark and heavy again. The wind was also stronger than before. It might rain again soon. It was better to head back early. Will it rain again? Mo Chan looked outside with worry. I didn't say anything more. One has to adjust their own mindset for such things. I was strong. And it didn't take long for me to pull all 3 kayaks further inside. They were mostly invisible from the outside. I'm sorry. I was spacing out just now. Thank you for the help. I nodded indifferently. I'm going upstairs now. Me too. I didn't stop her. But I ran all the way up the stairs. I stopped after climbing 30 floors. Time was running out. I walked out of the stairwell. The wall had the name of a law firm on it. It was full of books and documents. I didn't need those. But the pantry should be quite large. I walked inside. The door was locked, so I took a hammer from the fire cabinet. A few strikes shattered the glass door. Inside the pantry, there was a coffee machine, a water dispenser, and a microwave. I put them all into the space. Tea, floral tea, instant coffee, and coffee beans. I took every single one. In the cleaning closet, packs of toilet paper, dish soap, hand soap, and disinfectant filled the cabinets. I took those too. In the private offices, I found several cases of mineral water, sparkling water, and a few bottles of red wine. After clearing that floor, I headed down. The next floor was a fitness equipment company. I could leave other things. But dumbbells and barbells could be used as weapons. With my current strength, I could knock someone flying just by throwing a dumbbell. After collecting all the dumbbells and barbells, I found more unexpected treasures in the warehouse. Several boxes of yoga wear, and dozens of boxes of energy bars, protein powder and muscle building powder were all good things. Continuing down, I entered an IT company. The pantry and cleaning closet were full. Snacks, instant noodles, Coke, and Fanta, along with mineral water, filled half the room. This company's employees must have worked a lot of overtime. I tearfully collected everything. I couldn't spend half an hour working and come back empty-handed. I found 2 large canvas bags upstairs and filled them with instant noodles, snacks, mineral water, and Coke. I continued downstairs, carrying one in each hand. I jogged down to the next floor. When I saw it was a live streaming company, my eyes began to glow. Live streaming e-commerce companies have many samples, covering every aspect of life. I put the canvas bags on the floor, swung the sledgehammer, and smashed open the glass door. The shelves in the streaming room were filled with various items. It was a dazzling array, even more varied than a supermarket. I was not polite at all. I put everything, including the shelves, into my space's basement. What surprised me even more was that there were even cat litter, cat food, and canned cat food here. After clearing the whole floor, I sighed with satisfaction. This trip wasn't in vain. I checked my watch. It was 4 p.m. sharp. The rain would resume at 5 p.m. I had to get back quickly. I ran down with the 2 canvas bags, sweeping through an internet company along the way. I gained a bunch of snacks, instant noodles, and happy water. I ran all the way down to the 16th floor. Just as I stepped out of the stairwell, I heard Mo Chan's surprised voice. Nancy, you're down. We were just about to go up and look for you. The Taoist and Zhou Ziang were also standing by her side. Why look for me? Mo Chan glanced outside worriedly. The Taoist said, looking at the sky. It's going to rain again. The rain won't be light either. It's better if we head back early. My heart skipped a beat. I gave the old Taoist a subtle look. He really did have some skill. Coincidentally, I was also planning to head back. Let's go then. Mo Chan looked at the 2 canvas bags in my hands. Nancy, you didn't seem to find much. We found a lot. And we're worried we can't take it all back. Why don't we put some on your kayak? You can have more food for a while. I looked at Zhou Ziang and the old Taoist. Zhou Ziang smiled brightly. I feel the same as Chan. The old Taoist didn't object either. Leaving it here would be a waste anyway. The corners of my mouth curved up slightly, then put it on my kayak. I'll keep half as a delivery fee. And give the rest back to you. Mo Chan was a bit embarrassed. But I directly interrupted her. We'll talk about this when we get back. Getting back now is the most important thing. We pushed the kayaks into the water. They were filled with everything we could carry, including some flour, rice, and oil. We really couldn't fit anymore. I knew the way, so I took the lead and paddled with all my might. Rushing along, we finally saw Mingqing Gardens after more than half an hour. There were only 10 minutes left until 5 p.m. The wind was getting stronger and the air was filled with the smell of moisture. I quickened my pace. In a few minutes, we reached Building 11. The entrance we had smashed earlier was crowded with people. Lu Chunhua and Lu Nana were both standing at the front. Having not seen them for a few days, the two had become gaunt. Their faces were sallow, looking like refugees, but the way they looked at me was full of smugness and madness. Lu Nana tilted her chin up high. Nancy, I thought you were scared and ran away. I didn't expect you'd actually dare to come back. I felt like laughing. Why wouldn't I dare to come back? Lu Nana glared at me viciously. Rescuers came today. They even brought relief supplies. We told them everything you've done. They said they'll come looking for you tomorrow. Don't think that just because you know some martial arts, you can act above the law. I don't think I'm above the law. But to deal with you people, it's more than enough. Lunana's face turned red with anger. Her eyes darted around. I see you brought back quite a lot of stuff on that kayak. Distribute some to us. And we'll let you come up. Otherwise, you'll have to find somewhere else to live. Nancy I stared at the arrogant and rampant Lunana. And asked a calm question. Is this just your idea? Or is it the plan of everyone here? A flash of panic crossed Lunana's eyes. But it vanished instantly. This is, of course, what we all think. Nancy I, someone as lawless, violent, and bloody as you, shouldn't be living in our building. We are giving you a chance now. Distribute the food you brought back to everyone. Apologize properly for your mistakes. And let those with no place to stay live in your apartment. Then we might forgive you. Everyone, am I right? Lunana waved her single arm, but her clothes were filthy, she was missing an arm, and she had no presence or authority at all. Looking at Lunana like this, I burst out laughing. Lunana immediately lost her momentum. What are you laughing at? I slowly shook my head. I know you're being serious about what you're saying. Lunana breathed a sigh of relief. It's good that you understand. Hand over the things quickly. Why would you think I'd give anything to you? Just because you're ugly doesn't mean you can dream this big. Lunana's face flushed crimson. She pointed at me with her remaining good finger, her fingertip trembling. My gaze swept over her fingertip, wearing a half smile, pointing at me like that. Do you not want this hand either? As I spoke, I swung the oar toward Lunana's hand. The oar was heavy, and I used maximum force. Lunana's eyes were full of terror. She let out a scream, but she stood frozen like an idiot. The oar slammed hard against her hand. Lunana's body lurched forward. Just as she was about to fall headfirst into the water, someone grabbed her. She stumbled a few steps and fell on her but on the ground, her eyes wide with fear. The one who caught her was a tall, thin man. He looked at me, then looked at the other two kayaks, not far behind me. Where did you find all these things? What's it like outside now? What you see now is what it's like. That's what it's like outside. The things were found in the mobile building. The man's eyes flickered. Are there any rescue fleets out there? Did you hear any other news? No. There are only a few minutes until 5 p.m. I didn't want to waste any more words. My gaze swept across everyone's faces. Now, who else wants to block me from coming up? No one dared to utter a sound. Move aside and get back to the stairs. Nobody moved, but I didn't care. I pushed the oar against the kayak, and my body launched into the air like an arrow from a bow. The next second, I landed on the platform. When my feet touched the ground, I made almost no noise. The group of people backed away in horror. I stood sideways, my back close to the wall, angled toward the stairwell entrance so I could keep an eye on their every move. Hurry up and come over. Get the things moved up. I shouted to Mo Chan-chan's group of 3. They quickly paddled to the edge. I extended the oar. Mo Chan-chan grabbed it with both hands. Zhou Ziang gave a push from behind, and with a little effort, I pulled Mo Chan-chan up. Mo Chan-chan was full of disbelief. Wow, Nancy I, how did you do that? And that jump you just did? That was truly amazing. It's nothing special. Just that my core strength is relatively high. Zhou Ziang and the old Taoist hadn't come up yet. They handed the things up from the kayaks. Mo Chan-chan reached out with both hands to take them. I took them with one hand, my body remaining sideways, wary of the people on the stairs. A few people were itching to move. I glared at them coldly, and they were instantly frozen in place. Just as the old Taoist handed me the last item from the kayak, the torrential rain began to pour down. The old Taoist and Zhou Ziang were still on the kayaks, and were instantly soaked through. Realizing what happened, they scrambled onto the platform, and pulled the kayaks up as well. I remained standing. I glanced at the curtain of rain and looked away. But the faces of those people on the stairs all changed. After a long while, someone finally spoke uncertainly. Why do I feel like it's raining even harder than before? Will it ever stop? Will the rescue people come to deliver food again? No one answered him. If I'd known it'd be like this just now, I should have left with the people living in the hallway. If the government people don't come back, what can that little bit of relief food do? I haven't lived long enough. Someone shouted out, charged toward us, and reached out to snatch the supplies. Without any hesitation, I kicked him away. After being kicked, he sobered up a bit. He looked up at me. Fine if you won't give me supplies. Lend me your kayak. I'm going to find the government people. If you want to die, go ahead. Don't waste my kayak. Then, another person squeezed out of the crowd, thumped down, and knelt before me. Miss Nan, please give me something to eat. I can go without eating. But I have my little granddaughter. She really can't go hungry anymore. It was a white-haired old lady. She looked miserable, but there was a calculating glint in her eyes. I only gave her a cold look. No. The old lady was shocked and incredulous. Hey, why do you have so much? My little Nan Nan doesn't eat much anyway. She's only 5 years old. How can you just watch someone die? I looked at her with interest. Starting with the moral kidnapping already? Well, you're going to be disappointed. I have no morals. You can't kidnap me. Your nan isn't mine. Nor is she my responsibility. How am I the one just watching her die? After saying that, I stopped looking at her. I said to the old Taoist and the others, pack things up. Let's get them upstairs. The old Taoist looked at that crowd. We'll leave one kayak. For you. When the rain lets up, you can go out and look for food yourselves. There are many flooded areas. But some buildings are still above the water. Instead of just thinking about begging others, it's better to rely on yourselves. He finished and said to me, let's just carry them up. I had no objection, but with so many people standing around, I'm not comfortable. You all, go back to your homes now. This kayak is being left here for you. If anyone tries to pull something while we're carrying things, I'll cut off their hand. Do I make myself clear? Although some were resentful, they didn't dare to speak back. They walked up the stairs step by step. Once the footsteps faded away, the four of us paired off in groups of 2, and carried the kayaks up. We reached the 32nd floor without any trouble. I sorted out my things, and took the delivery fee that Emo Chan and the others had given me. I've taken mine. Emo Chan rummaged through her kayak, and pulled out 2 boxes. She held them out to me. Nancy, this is an outdoor gas stove and a box of gas. You take them. That way you can cook food. Emo Chan handing these over really surprised me. But I slowly shook my head. Keep them for yourselves. I have all of this. Emo Chan still insisted. Feeling a bit helpless, I spoke seriously. I'm not being polite with you. I really do have them. Only then did she pull back her hand. Good, as long as you have them. Oh, right, we've already discussed it with the Taoist. We'll be moving in to live with him. We'll be neighbors from now on. We can look out for each other if anything happens. This was somewhat unexpected, but it made sense when I thought about it. I nodded. That's good then. Emo Chan's eyes lit up. You think it's good being neighbors too, right? We managed to get so many supplies together today. Why don't we just have a meal together? Zhou Xiang stepped forward and patted her shoulder. Chan, we've been out for so long today. Everyone is tired. We still have to move our luggage up. Let's talk about the meal together some other time. Though Emo Chan was disappointed, she agreed. The old Taoist opened his door, and the 3 of them started moving things inside. I also opened my own door, and moved things in trip by trip. There wasn't much, so I finished moving it quickly. When they finished moving and were going down for luggage, I said goodbye and went home. The moment I closed my door, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I slipped into my space, took a good bath, and called the 4 cats over to wash them too. The floodwater outside was filthy. Don't even think about getting on my bed unless they were clean. I gave them a quick wipe after the wash. They shook off the water droplets themselves and went to find a place to bask in the sun. I was done with everything by almost 8 p.m. I had dinner in the space. A portion of spicy hot pot with rice cakes. A plate of barbecue, plus a can of ice-cold Coke. After eating, at 9 p.m., I left the space with the 4 cats. Lying in bed, I had only one thought. When I woke up, I had to take the bedding into the space to air out. It rained every day, and the bedding was getting damp. When I woke up, it was still pouring outside. The sky was so dark it didn't look like morning. It looked more like evening was approaching. I was long accustomed to this. I took the bedding into the space, laid it out to dry, and after washing up and eating breakfast, I began to organize the things piled by the small river. Sealed items were moved into the basement. Water-damaged or spoiled items were separated. Cat beds and toys. Washing and drying would make them usable again. Stuff from 2 long streets of the wholesale market. Even though I used my thoughts to control it, without physical effort, it still took 2 days to finish sorting 2/3 of the good items. Better than expected. After finishing that, I started planting the land in the space. Over 10 mu of land. 2 mu were planted with fruit trees already bearing fruit. 2 mu were sown with livestock grass, raising chickens, ducks, geese, rabbits, pigs, cattle, and sheep. The remaining 6 or 7 mu, I tilled them. I planted 2 mu of corn, 2 mu of sweet potatoes, 1 mu of potatoes, and another mu with various vegetables. When watering, I added a drop of spiritual spring water to the bucket. I really wanted to see if the crops grown with spiritual spring water would be any different. The building was very quiet. No one caused trouble, and no one came to the 32nd floor. But I knew this situation wouldn't last more than a few days. The relief food from the government was limited. Even if they saved, it wouldn't last a week. The facts were exactly as I predicted. 2 days later, the door to 3202 was knocked on. I opened the phone monitor. The hallway was full of people. Unlike the last group who were all able-bodied men, this time it was all the old, weak, women, and children. The old lady who knelt before me was there too, holding a little girl of about 5 years old. Taoist, I know you are kind-hearted. You wouldn't just watch people die like some others. Please, help us. The old lady's first words targeted me. I didn't get angry. I adjusted to a comfortable sitting position and continued watching. Seeing no response, the old lady pulled on the little girl in her hand. Granddaughter. Quickly begged the Taoist inside. And the older brother and sister in there too. They are all good people. They surely won't have the heart to watch us starve. Others also urged the children beside them to cry and make a scene. Begging, a group of children crying together. The noise made me frown. Luckily my house had good soundproofing. After several minutes of crying, the door of 3202 remained tightly shut. I was very satisfied. Those three had kindness but also brains. If they dared to open the door today, these old, weak, women, and children would latch onto them like blood-sucking leeches. Seeing there was no hope, these people stopped crying. Instead, they started swearing loudly. The old lady swore the loudest. Just pretending to be good by leaving us a kayak. What use is it? With such heavy rain. We can't even go out. You obviously have so much food. But you'd watch us old and young ones starve. How can you swallow your food? Eat, go on and eat. May your heart and lungs rot after you eat it. May you die a horrible death. I raised an eyebrow. Swearing so loudly, with such a strong voice, they didn't sound like they were starving at all. Inside the living room of 3202, Mo Chan, listening to the increasingly foul insults outside, was flushed with anger. These people are too much. Taoist, you left them a kayak. Not only are they ungrateful, now they're even swearing like this. If I'd known it'd be like this, we shouldn't have left the kayak for them. Zhou Xiang gently patted her back to calm her. His expression wasn't good either. However, the old Taoist reclining on the sofa looked perfectly comfortable and leisurely. Don't be angry, don't be angry. Let them swear if they want to. They must still be full. Otherwise, where would they get the energy to swear here? In 2 more days of hunger, they won't come back. That may be true. But, Mo Chan was a bit hesitant. If they see that swearing outside is useless, will they break the door? Before the old Taoist could answer, Mo Chan rushed to the door and leaned against it to check. She asked in a lowered voice, Taoist, is this door strong enough? Strong. The old Taoist's voice was lazy. Very strong. Mo Chan peered out through the peephole. After just 2 seconds, she backed away in fear. Zhou Xiang quickly walked over. Chan, what's wrong? Someone is peeping in through the peephole. Their eyeball was so big. It gave me a fright. Zhou Xiang frowned. Found a medical patch, and stuck it over the peephole. Mo Chan walked back to the sofa and sat down. Looking out the window with some concern, she said, Taoist, how much longer do you think this rain will last? The old Taoist didn't even move while lying down. Heaven wants to rain. And a mother wants to marry. Let it be. Mo Chan looked at him with envy and emotion. Taoist, how can you be so calm? Aren't you worried? The old Taoist finally deigned to turn his head to look at her. Worried? Worried about the rain? Will it stop if I worry? It's already a vast ocean outside. We don't know how long we can live. So why worry so much? Eat well, drink well, sleep well, just live as long as we can. Mo Chan opened her mouth, but couldn't say anything. After a long time, she whispered, I wonder what Nancy I is doing at home. If she could come over, the 4 of us could play mahjong together. I didn't want to play mahjong with him. Time was short. I had to prepare for the next trip. 3 days later, the rain suddenly weakened. The floodwater had already reached the 17th floor. Seeing that the rain outside had changed from torrential to a light drizzle, I changed my clothes and shoes, put on a waterproof hiking backpack, shouldered the kayak, and stepped out. Just as I went out, I heard a succession of doors opening. The first out was Mo Chan from 3202. The 3 of them were dressed neatly. Mo Chan was full of surprise. Nancy are you going out too? Let's go together again this time. Before I could say anything, the doors to 3201 and 3204 also opened completely. Quite a few people walked out. I'm Li Chuang. Li Chuang said, looking at me and others. Nancy Li Chuang laughed heartily. His laughter was deafening. I know you're Nancy In this building, there's probably no one who doesn't know your name. Mo Chan also introduced herself. The few of them were preparing to leave. Wang Meiwan got anxious, jogged a few steps, and stopped Li Chuang. Boss Li, you have so many boats. You surely can't use them all yourself. Can you give us one? Li Chuang looked her up and down. I'm a businessman at the castle dock. Not a charity worker. What can you give me? Why should I give you a boat? Wang Meiwan was panicked. Suddenly her eyes lit up. Gold. I have gold. I'll trade gold for it. Li Chuang didn't directly refuse. Then you'd better get it ready. When I get back, if the price is right, I'll take you to get a boat. Wang Meichuan's eyes widened. We have to wait until next time, otherwise? Li Chuang asked back impatiently. I even have to hitch a ride on someone else's kayak myself. How can I take you? Wang Meiwan was left speechless. We smashed through a wall on the 18th floor to get out. I tossed the kayak onto the water and landed steadily with a light jump. Li Chuang took a few deep breaths and jumped down carefully. The kayak rocked for quite a while before stabilizing. Let me row the boat. Since Li Chuang said he'd row, I certainly wouldn't refuse. Li Chuang was strong. He rowed both fast and steadily. It took about 2 hours to reach the eastern suburbs. This area was full of warehouses, all long submerged and out of sight. Mo Chanchan looked around. Everything is flooded here. The boats must have sunk to the bottom. We don't even have machinery. How can we salvage them? Li Chuang laughed out loud. Since I dared to lead you here, of course there's a way. These 10 boats of mine aren't just any boats you'd find on the market. They can be used as submarines. I was planning to use them for an underwater sightseeing project. I didn't expect the project to fall through, but now they've come in handy. I looked at Li Chuang in amazement. I guess this is what a lucky person looks like. Li Chuang laughed heartily. Alright, let's head down now. You all know how to swim, right? I do, but I can't go down that deep. Mo Chanchan said a bit sheepishly. I'll go down with them. You two stay here and keep an eye on the kayak. The old Taoist said. Taoist, why don't I go instead? Zhou Ziang hesitated. I'll go. The old Taoist said, then jumped into the water with a splash. I didn't waste any time either. I followed right after Li Chuang jumped in. Li Chuang's goal was clear. He approached the warehouse and unlocked it with a key. It took the 3 of us a great deal of effort to finally push the door open. When I saw the 10 submarines inside, I finally felt at ease. Li Chuang didn't go back on his word. He even found a key and helped me open a submarine first. He pointed out the start button and how to drain the water. After he left, I closed the hatch, started it up, drained the water, and steered it to the surface. As soon as I reached the surface, the smile on my face vanished. Right now, Mo Chanchan and Zhou Ziang were surrounded by wooden boats. 2 or 3 men stood on each boat, poking at their kayak with oars. The kayak was rocking violently, about to capsize at any moment. Zhou Ziang held Mo Chanchan, his eyes cold. Mo Chanchan's face was pale, filled with panic. I sneered and drove the submarine straight into them. The angle was perfect. I perfectly avoided Mo Chanchan and Zhou Ziang while slamming hard into 2 boats. Several men lost their footing and fell straight into the water. I quickly turned around and rammed into the other 2 boats. The people on the boats paddled frantically to escape, but I caught up to them in seconds. Seeing they couldn't escape, the men fell to their knees in the boats, begging for mercy. At that moment, the old Taoist and Li Chuang's submarines also surfaced. They opened their hatches immediately. I opened mine too. We were wrong. Spare us. I really won't do it again. When Li Chuang saw this, the smile on his face faded. What's going on? Mo Chanchan hurriedly explained. Ziang and I were just waiting here. They suddenly rowed over, trying to steal our supplies. When they saw we had nothing, they used their oars to poke at our kayak. If Nancy I hadn't come out in time, we would have been the ones in the water. The muscles on Li Chuang's face twitched. A few blind bastards causing trouble. Messing with the people I brought? He steered his submarine straight into those 2 boats. The wooden boats were rocked back and forth, the men inside clinging to the gunwales, pleading for mercy incessantly. The old Taoist watched with amusement. After a few minutes, he picked his ear impatiently. If they won't go under, why not just smash the boats? They're so noisy. Just as Li Chuang was about to agree, the men scrambled to their feet and knelt toward Mo Chanchan and Zhou Ziang. We beg you. Please say something for us. We were truly wrong. We didn't actually have bad intentions. We were just playing around with you. Mo Chanchan frowned for a while. Then she looked at me. Nancy what do you think we should do? I glanced at the now calm water and the several corpses floating on it. The ones who fell in have all floated to the surface. Mo Chanchan stared at me intently, her gaze suddenly becoming firm. She turned to the old Taoist. Taoist, can you come over and let me on? The old Taoist lazily replied, here I come. Mo Chanchan and Zhou Ziang boarded the old Taoist submarine. Once they learned how to control it, they rammed into those 2 wooden boats together.